Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What does sensorality stabilize? So we're going to continue on with our derivation. I'm here with my PI, Mr. Gus, the dog, so we might get interrupted. But looking to, again, develop our linguistics, get our concepts in the right area. And at this point we can basically say, or just get to this demonstration of iteration, sensorality. Sound is irreducible. We have syllability, right? The ability to be a syllable, which is really this aspect of irreducibility, right? You can't break down the sound A. You can't say the sound A without in any other way. And so we're kind of demonstrating spelling as a geometric consequence. We have the sound has meaning, and we've represented that meaning throughout history with letters, with shapes. And so what we've called inversion, what we've called iteration, what we've called integration, and even what we've called spelling is this fundamental geometric demonstration. And so we continue on looking to stabilize what is sensorality. Why does my microwave say it is a sensor with an S, but it does not have senses with an S? That is our inconsistency, and our variable, sensorality, is going to stabilize what is a sensor, what is sensation. And so we continue on. What is charge to sound? Sound is monotone, charge is monopole. So again, on a direct personal level, what part of physical reality is irreducible? This dichotomy, right? Charge is dichotomistic. We have positive, we have negative for our directions, up, down, left, right, forward, backwards. This inherent component of two. But charge being this fundamental, right? We have the proton and the electron, which those are, and we know the proton has internal dynamic with quarks. The electron, as articulated by theory, says it's a point particle, but you can't have point particles with one too many is our historical evidence, the presence of the Fibonacci sequence and the base of the natural log E. There's been two universal stabilization events. So that's our fundamental stability of two universally. And so we know the electron has internal dynamic. And so what is charge? Again, I keep coming back to this question of why is the electron smaller than the proton? And they both have the same unit of charge. I don't know if there's anything more to say, but it comes up in my intuition as part of the derivation. I say, hey, I'm thinking about this. To sound, relating again, monotone to monopole, right? Polarity to me already contains this fundamental stability of two, right? If you say polarity, that has two things, right? North pole, south pole, positive charge, negative charge. The verbiage electric charge always makes me, because electricity is moving charge. So it's like saying, again, large language LLM. It's like you just said the same thing twice in a row, literally. So then we've related charge to, right, dichotomy is reducible to cotomy. So charge is cotomality. What is cotomy? That's where we were yesterday. It was kind of like, I don't know. But again, overall, reducing the syllability, the letters representing the concepts. Once we get our concepts in the right area, the linguistics reduces trivially. It has to. Because again, when you were born, you didn't need to learn everything that happened in history. All of this derivation and analysis we're doing right now needs to, and it inevitably reduces to a single working definition. Right? Speciality is special with an ITY. That is our finalization. That is our direct literal reduction of proof that special is the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism. Or speciality is the conceptual completeness, and that generates someone calling you special. And so we're developing that for sensorality. But in reality, it's just, again, it's just one chronological progression. I'm Brad, I'm still doing physics that I was doing before, and so it's for finding this fundamental inversion or differentiation of this axiomatic definition, infinite uniqueness. What makes us different, what makes us the same. But relating charge to sound, monotone to monopole. And so tone, right, to me that's just a direct, you can't say the sound A in any other way. And then you add consonants such as way. Moving along. What is reducibility to reproducibility? And so sensorality is reproducible. And life reproduces. Proliferation is reproducibility. Again, proliferation contains the entire syllability of life, same as volume contains love, same as generosity contains energy. Emotion is a completely provable logical domain. Sensorality produces. Sensorality is programmable. Grammar, program. That's a big linguistic form of the word to emphasize and point out. What is algorithmicality to programmability? Right? Do programs run algorithms? Are algorithms programs? Sensorality is programmability. But again, big emphasis on programmable. It has the word grammar as its base. So we can state the fundamental theorem of computer science, which again, that terminology is already interesting. Science is sentience, directly, literally. Computer is like technology, so it's like technology sentience, what is contained conceptually under algorithm. Training an algorithm is programming, right? Whether you're training our large language models or programming a computer, it's the same exact thing. Taking sentience and applying it to inanimacy as best as you can. What is chronology to causality? And I have in parentheses charge. Chronology, things happen in order. Causality, what is that? It's something we've equated charge to for now. But is there chronology to charge, right? Did the proton and the electron stabilize simultaneously? Right? Spontaneity, right? What is spontaneity to simultaneity? Is dichotomy chronic? That's kind of an interesting one. Dichotomy is inherent. You can't break it down. That's that irreducibility contains this numeric 2 component. I want to say again, my intuition is that charge, again, it's the stabilization, is this fundamental differentiation. You have one thing, it inverts, and that stabilizes, it reaches maximum opposition, and then it tries to differentiate again. And so, right, directly from the Fibonacci sequence, when you have 1 plus 1, that's the physical motivation. And so our physical dynamic is that 2 plus 1, just that. And so I want to say that charge was stabilized, positive and negative. When I say charge, I'm thinking dichotomy of positive and negative, not even proton or electron. But positive and negative, again, some density is definite for sure. So there has to be just a small unit of charge thing. I don't know. Again, exhausting any logic that is present. What is chronology to synchronicity? How do things happening in order relate to them happening at the same time? Again, I'm pretty sure charge stabilized was one differentiation, 2 charges. It's like the opposite of 2 chicks, 1 cup. I put that on the screen. The other one was like, But again, it's something about chronology and like again, we're nouning or ing noun. It's like we're getting close to something. Moving along, sensorality is synchronality. Another one of these word forms, synchronicity. Ality is our generalizing syllability. Synchronality, synchronicity, logically the same thing. Linguistically a different form. In the same way you say electricity and not electricality. I don't really know what else to say. Sensorality is chromosomality. All right, so now before we had soma with 2 M's, now soma is part of a chromosomal. Sensorality is chromosomality. Geneticality is chromosomal. Sensorality is algebraicality. Algebraicality is algorithmicality, emphasizing the ALGE from algebra to ALGO, algorithm. It's the same exact linguistic word form. Algorithms are algebraic. Sensorality is braicality. And then again, I have what is an algorithm to algebra. Same type of questioning. Sensorality is basicality. Are logarithms algebraic? Because again, algorithm is a direct iteration of logarithm. Right? You can't even remotely say no to that. Are logarithms algebraic? And so now we've produced it. Again, I want to say that's a novel question, but in direct mathematical ontology. What is algebra? Variables. You represent a quantity. What can vary? What can change? Change, variation is algebra. Logarithms are exponents. Can you have variables in exponents? Yes. Are logarithms algebraic? Yes. Again, still not the point. Believe it or not, no matter how fundamental the questions sound, it's still not the point. All of the logic is contained, and I'm just showing you the progression. And there's a lot of steps, believe it or not. What is calculus to calculation? Again, circularity, acculate, circulate, right? But specifically to the phrasing, people will say, this changes the calculus. And they're not talking about taking, again, if you said, what is calculus? People would simply say, again, if you integrate the derivative, you get the function. At least that's what they should say. A lot, again, some heresy, somebody will start talking about an antiderivative, and then I start praying. And then over in linear algebra for our bijections, somebody will start saying, what's the other one? There was another word that just came up that was absolutely a big nothing burger. But calculus, right? When people will say logically, this changes the calculus, they're talking like analysis in general. But then calculation, you're thinking numerics, like a numeric reduction is a calculation. And then we talked about circularity being rhythmic. Again, I guess, but there are no lines, right? Linearity doesn't exist at all. And so there's always geometry, topology to all of the things that you're interacting with. And so, right, a rhythm is a cyclic process that maximizes efficiency, or more generally, a cyclic process that does work. So right, you could walk back and forth in a line, and you could say that verbiage, but you're not, again, you're still effectively creating an oval, right? So you'd still have some sort of eccentricity to your motion. If you said, Brad, walk in a straight line back and forth, you're not actually walking in a straight line, right? You're creating an oval. You have some sort of eccentricity, hence circular motion. And so, but linguistically, the base of calculation is circularity. Calculus is analysis. Sensorality recites. Sensorality is recitality. Recital, add ity. What is recital to rehearsal? Rehearsal, reversal. Again, direct iteration, h to the v. Again, you rehearse before your recital. Not the point. What is charge to resistance? Right? We have superconductors. You have to cool it down. Then we have superconducting at room temperature. We just have dynamics of zero resistance. And so what is charge to resistance? Moving along, no other insight. Distribution circulates. Sensorality circulates. Dispensing circulates. Again, circulation, my blood is circulating. Distribution is circulation. Obviously, it's built on circularity, but dispensing versus dispersal, circulating seems organized as opposed, right? Dispensing circulates as opposed to dispersing. Dispersion is not circulation. What is sensation to circulation, right? Just said it. I have a circulatory system. I don't have a distribution system. Circularity circulates, and that is a natural definition. And I guess to even say more on what a natural definition is, it's just like this consistency of syllability, sound to letters, that is as comprehensive as possible. Because again, you differentiate, and by differentiating your derivative, it's like logically complete these dichotomistic pairs because of this fundamental stability of two. What is circulation to rotation? Right? If I'm rotating something, chirality rotates. Circulation, right, is orbit circular. Well, again, orbit meaning a circle with eccentricity. Astrophysicist brains. Circular motion. But when I think rotation, again, I think around an internal axis, where circulation, you can be orbiting without rotating. Just pointing out any logic. Does filtration circulate? Right? Our body is circulating, it's filtering blood, it's circulation. Does rotation filter? Sensorality is inconsistent. Mass is inconsistent. A restatement of mass gap exists. I like that one. That's my favorite verbiage, mass gap, mass gap. Because it sounds like it's something a toddler would say that's like, it's a reduction of logic, but it's still like, you get it, it's complete. It's just like you take away there's a gap in mass, mass gap, mass gap. But mass is inconsistent, just a restatement, there's a gap in mass. What is consistency to congruency? Sensorality is gruency. Again, emphasizing algorithm, G, the 7th letter of the alphabet, because I'm in the G unit. Gruency, fluency. What is fluency to congruence? Sensorality is congruence. Symmetry is congruent. Dependence is contingent. What is OR? O-R-E. Again, sensorality, but with that E replacing the letter Y, preserving the sound E, giving us new syllability. You also produce the word OR, O-R-E. So last time we said 3 complete words. Again, kind of, the point still stands, but ore like a mineral, like a mining ore. Is ore a mineral? Ore is crude, right? Strait of Hormuz isn't opening up. We have the crude oil. It needs to be refined. Ore is unrefined. Unrefined, undefined. Fine, right? Again, it's this form of finity. Infinity. Fine is definite. Fine is finite. That's what we derived. But sensorality is unrefined. Again, like literally directly, what is sensorality? It's not refined enough to be specific, to be definitive. So we're refining our overall logic to, again, trivially solve what is sensorality. A circumstance is a situation. What is circumstance to circularity? Again, emphasizing the structure of the words. Sensorality is circumstantiality. Sensorality is substantiality. Right? Mass is a substance. Mass is substantial. Why is circular logic bad? Right? Your logic is circular. What are you appealing to? What are you trying to say there? You're not going anywhere. You're not producing any work. Right? We're going around in a circle. We keep iterating. What is sensorality? What is sensorality? It's not actually circular. We're gyrating upward. It's not, circular logic is bad. You're appealing to, again, not producing work. And then in actual physical reality, right? Everything is unique all of the time, right? You don't actually have cycles, right? A rhythm, a cycle that does work, a vibration, a cycle that doesn't do work. But you can't have a cycle. You can't return to the same space-time coordinates. You can't return to the same time. That should be overwhelmingly, no one would deny that. But you can't even return to the same space. Like the mass is the space and black bodies radiate. Everything's changing, everything's moving. Again, doesn't just presenting any logic that's here. Switching reverses. What is inversion to identity? Sensorality is identicality. Again, linguistically, it is what it is the identity matrix equivalent analog of differential geometry. And so, sensorality, we're finding its fundamental differentiation of a well-defined word to complete this syllability. It reduces the whole logical structure and leaves us with this singular working definition, sensorality, but with the consistency of energy, work, power, speciality, which is, again, this whole process that has not been published yet. But again, it's all one chronological progression of knowledge represented by language. And so, yeah, what is the difference between switching and flipping? Sensorality flips a switch. And so that is what I have for derivation this morning. My rights continue to be violated. It is profoundly illegal. To the people that are well aware of who I am and what I've done, can you please just give me some money? I mean, my life quality is truly zero. That is not an exaggeration. There is nothing accomplished by still torturing me. There's nothing, there was never anything to accomplish by doing that, but I just don't understand why somebody can't give me a little bit of money. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.